Okay. Yeah, welcome everyone to our panel on the future of crypto custody. In the next 35 minutes, we want to explore a few key questions together. What are true advantages and disadvantages of self-custody versus custodial services? How do today's solutions deal with risks like hacks, insolvencies, or also simply human error? And can new approaches such as social recovery or seedless wallets make custody both secure and user-friendly? And one final point that we also want to touch, will these new approaches maybe have to jeopardize the industry's core values, like not your keys, not your coins, that we all know, in order to reach mass adoption? And to answer all these questions, we are very fortunate to have voices from all corners of the custody business here on stage, from hardware wallets to regulated custody to exchanges. And before we dive in, I would like to ask our panelists to briefly introduce themselves. Maybe with you, David.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for having us today. My name is David Wulschner. I'm 40 years old in the crypto market as an investor since 2016, started with Bitcoin mining. I'm a very proud brand ambassador for Tangem. I'm a crypto enthusiast. I'm an investor. I love to be here. I'm speechless.
Didn't sound like speechless.
A little bit.
My name is Moritz. I am the general manager for Central Europe and the Nordics at OKX. We're one of the top 3, top 4, depending how you look at it, centralized exchanges worldwide. We do also offer a very, very strong wallet and DEX product. So we'd offer both custody and self-custody wallets. We are now making inroads into the European market. We just got our license, MiCA license that is, as well as a MiFID license 5-6 months ago. So now, trying to shake up the market a little bit as one of the foreign exchanges.
Hello, my name is Ilja. I'm the key account manager at Tangem, and I'm very happy to be here. Tangem is a German, Munich-based crypto custodian, and we offer custody solutions and staking solutions for B2B clients, banks, broker, exchanges, platforms. So, for example, if you're German and you use a trading app for crypto, like eToro, Smart Broker, then we hold your coins. And I am very happy to be here because I was raised close to the city. So living now in Munich, it's always a pleasure to come back to the West and especially to the stadium.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm from Trezor, just over the border in the Czech Republic. We are the manufacturers of the world's original hardware wallet, the Trezor Model 1. My side of Trezor is Trezor Expert, which is both onboarding and consultation. So we help people with getting started in self-custody with Trezor wallets. We also consult with people about more advanced use cases, so things like creating a multi-share backup and so on.
Great. Then I would maybe try to start with a little question to all of you. Cold wallet or hot wallet, which one do you personally prefer and why?
Cold wallet, 100%. Main reason, I got control about my assets. It couldn't be hacked. I mean, you need the physical device to prove that you're the owner. And that is, in my opinion, for larger amounts, stuff that you hodl for a longer time, where you have your savings in, whatever, the only way.
So
sorry.
No, all good. I'm smiling because I was brainstorming this morning how I could make this a little bit more fun with one of my team members, and he told me to say, I like my wallet how I like my drinks, ice cold. And so you have to, I have to work on the delivery of that joke maybe a little bit.
I prefer cold wallets as well, but I think there's also a good way or a good use case to use hot wallets. So, for example, I was in Argentina last summer, and I shared an Uber drive with some other guys, and they didn't have PayPal, so we couldn't share the Uber drive. I asked by chance, as a joke, do you also accept or do you want to have some cryptos? And he said, yes, I have a wallet. So I transferred some USDC very easily, and for those reasons I like it, but not to store wealth on it.
And you, Nick, you probably are a big fan of hot wallets, I would say.
You know, hot wallets absolutely have their uses. They're very convenient if you're at a conference, you're just getting into self-custody. Do you really want to set up a cold wallet that you just bought or that you just got for free from us? No. And I think what has to be said about both cold wallets and hot wallets, I do prefer cold wallets. I'm guilty as charged as working in the cold wallet industry. What has to be said for both is that there's a lot of hard work that goes into making these. At Trezor, I am a fly on the wall. I am someone who sees a lot of the work that goes into making the products we put out. And I think with any cold wallet manufacturer, hot wallet developer, there is just so much work that goes into just all the different kinds of use cases, all the different kinds of risk scenarios. With that said, the power of the cold wallet is that not only do you have the software being developed, you also have the hardware, which means you get to control the environment that your private keys, your coins are being exposed to. And that gives you way more control than software wallets, which are going to have to work around like your iPhone or your Android, whatever they're being downloaded onto.
I mean, I think we've all been long enough in the crypto sphere to, had some experiences, positive, also negative, when it comes to custody. Maybe to get your experience or your experience on your biggest, failure when it came to custody, like, I don't know, losing a seed phrase or sending coins to the wrong address. What was your most, or like your worst personal misstep, and what did you learn from it?
I have because you said losing the seed phrase, I have a classic failure I did. I was in Lisbon at a digital art exhibition. This is a few years ago when NFTs were just like coming up. I saw an art piece that I really, really liked, and it was kind of like one of those situations. I was bidding on it. I had to be quick. I set up a new mobile wallet. I think it was a MetaMask, and did the transaction. Didn't save the passphrase and saved that part for later, and I sort of had it in the back of my mind. And you cannot make this up. It was a holiday in as I said, in Lisbon, and during that same holiday, still, I actually lose that phone in the ocean. That was the only wallet that I lost because, again, I had set it up very previously. I hadn't saved the key, the passphrase, or the key for that matter. I felt extremely stupid afterwards, obviously. The only positive is that it was a physical art piece that was backed up by an NFT, and I still had the physical art piece, which is kind of like a in-between anyways, right? Don't know if that fully counts, but the NFT is gone. Or at least the access to it.
You can prove now that you're the owner, right?
The physical art piece is hanging in my wallet in my living room, so that's the most important thing. I still like that one.
Physically, you can prove.
Exactly.
But I have also a similar story. Basically, years ago, I had the idea to invest in a blockchain and the tokens of IOTA. And back then, it wasn't possible to use a Trezor device or a Ledger device to create a wallet and store the coins there. So I saw a possibility that the website provided the options or opportunities to create a wallet, a seed phrase, where you had to scratch free with the mouse cursor, I don't know, a seed phrase, and then you had your private address and the public address, and then I sent my IOTAs there, and to find out a few weeks later that, of course, it was a scam. Someone else, the provider of this website, whoever also had those seed phrases, and yeah, the account was emptied. So lessons learned there, and now I'm fully cold wallet only.
Yeah, I also had a similar experience to Moritz and Ilja. I was also traveling. This was before I worked at Trezor, but I was in Prague, and I had this sudden feeling that someone had access to my password manager, so I changed the password to my password manager, which also had my seed phrase on it. And then I straight away forgot the password, and with that, lost access to the crypto.
Yeah, I need to apologize because I really thought a long time about what happened to me, and None of
Which
that
is
ever.
perfect.
No, honestly, I mean, maybe I can use that couple of minutes to maybe share a little bit why that does never happen to me. I never lost any seed phrases. I never lost funds. I never experienced any loss of assets during transferring. And I mean, I developed over the last, roughly decade, some sort of routine to really avoid that. I mean, never act in a rush. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All the time, when there is an amount that really hurts me or bothers me, I send a test transaction. No matter if I pay $10, $15 in a gas fee for Ethereum, I don't care about that. And I really act calm. This is really simple. I know everybody had probably losses, but knock on words, I'm happy that never happened to me. I mean, be your own bank is not a punishment, it's a gift, but with all the good things and the bad things that come with it. So take your time. That's probably the best advice I can give.
I will get a bit more serious now, maybe, and ask about the real advantages and disadvantages of self-custody versus custodial services today. What would you say? Like, where are the true advantages in self-custody, and where are the true advantages in custodial services? Where are the weaknesses? Just feel free to take that question, whoever wants to.
I feel like you probably have a strong opinion to start with.
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is kind of, I get this question a lot. What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? And it comes down to having an understanding of the crypto ecosystem, having an understanding of how private keys work, and the fact that private keys give control of that crypto to whoever holds them. And I think, institutions have absolutely come a long way, I'm sure. But at the same time, it's very difficult to get a read, speaking from the outside, on what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. And what I always say is, I don't know what the status of things are, but there are two risks. There is the custody risk, the risk that someone mismanages the private keys, and then there is the financial risk, the risk that someone is being fiscally irresponsible in the ever volatile crypto ecosystem. But I would love to hear from particularly Ilja and Moritz. What are your approaches to managing those risks?
I have, truthfully speaking, somewhat given up on the thought that everybody needs to be self-custodial, because I see the struggles that we're going through in bringing crypto to the mass market. We just had last weekend an event in Zandvoort with 300, let's say, normie influencers / content creators. And we wanted to show them that we just relaunched our wallet and DEX product in Europe. And one of the things that we did is we did like a product workshop. We would let them open the wallet, and we even put $50 or USDC on it. And of course, you need to create a wallet, and you need to import a seed phrase in order for that 50 euros to be there. So we did it with scanning a QR code. And just the process of these 4 steps was already, we lost so many people along the way in that product workshop because it's just nothing that is intuitive. And I understood back then, and I knew it already before, that there's just a large section of the people that won't be able to do that. They're probably able to do it, but it's just not something that is realistic. And that's why I said, okay, that has a place, of course. We all, probably most of the people in this room do it, but if we really want to bring platforms like OKX or crypto in general to the mass market, it's probably not the way to go. And last thing I'll say is I'm also not so sure if it's still as critical, because you mentioned, of course, the famous saying, not your keys, not your cheese, is 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that was so much more important, I feel like. And I'm ready to take some blowback on this when things like Mt. Gox and other exchanges got hacked. And now we had one of the biggest, or the biggest hack ever with Bybit, but none of the customers lost their funds. So I don't know how important that still is, and whether 95% of the custody shouldn't be custodial services as opposed to non-custodial services.
Ilja, David, what are your opinions on that?
I would probably connect to the opinion. I mean, there are multiple stages in your life, in your career, in your investment way where holding your cryptos on a custodian is quite okay, because you're not so experienced, you've got no clue what you're doing. I mean, we all stepped through that. So therefore, I think that is quite okay. But if you come to a significant amount of savings, or let me say of investment money, what you got on your exchange, or I don't know, your staking provider, wherever, I mean, that should be really secured. And I like to say all the time, it's all about the aluminum head and how big it is on your head, you know? So, for sure, self-custody is the most important and the most securest way to store your crypto assets, but it's also, it depends on your data hygienic with your devices. It depends on how you're going to store your seed phrases. Do you shard it? Do you put it digitally, like in your password manager? What I probably never do, but I mean, absolutely okay. If you write it down on a sheet of paper, you shard it to different locations, or probably if you're going to use a complete seedless wallet, what I love.
Just to double click on this, there you're adding another layer of complexity. So now the 95% has probably led to 99%. I have a lot of people in my friend circle, you know, people that I went to university with and so on. They have a ledger, they heard about, or a Trezor, they heard about this concept and they were able to set up their ledger. But what they do is they write down their seed phrase and they put it either in the same box or somewhere in their drawer, and they think that actually the device is the thing that needs to be protected more. And they even put it maybe in like some friends, they put it into a bank vault. But they don't understand that actually the piece of paper which they have somewhere in their night drawer or desk drawer is actually the way more valuable thing. So, and then we're at the 99% of people that don't really fall into that category of being able to do self-custody. So again, I'm a little bit more skeptical.
Honestly, I was really surprised when you reported about the event that you launched and influencers and content creators. I mean, I'm content creator by my own. They were not capable to do that. I mean, I would scream. I want to try to teach people, help them, really help them. Yeah. And I'm not capable to do that. I mean, this is hilarious. But anyway,
I agree.
I fully agree. I mean, this needs to be much more simple. And just looking to MetaMask right now, what they're doing, they're combining their seed phrase with social login. I mean, is that good? I don't know. I don't like that. But this is how we onboard many, many more people to the crypto industry. And this is what we want to do, to bring the people to the technology and also get new investors. I mean, it needs to get simple.
Yeah. Just to maybe also address a question to Ilja. I mean, you're here on behalf of Tangem, a regulated custodian. How do you address investors' concerns like about hacks and insolvencies maybe? No, just because we also touched here Bybit, Mt. Gox, and those topics.
I will get back to this question just to give my 2 cents for the previous topic. And because I have like 2 hearts inside of me ticking, like the not your keys, not your coins heart, and be bankless, and do everything without the bank, without the third-party risk, and so on. And also, I work for Tangem, a fully licensed and regulated custodian, and I know, of course, the best of both worlds and the disadvantages of both worlds. And I'm a bit with Moritz when he says he's losing people on this way to be in the self-control of everything, because you don't start as a professional setting up your seed phrases, your wallets. You become a professional after years, after a lot of doing things right and wrong. And this is, of course, a risk losing your funds also. Yeah? And if you use a third-party custodian, you have professionals sitting there and setting up the wallets and, for example, doing migration things, migrating inside the blockchain or from one blockchain to another blockchain, which can be very difficult or very easy. And most people, you will lose them complete on this journey. So this is maybe also a very good point or advantage for custodian services or custodial services. And how does Tangem do everything regarding insolvencies and hacks, how you manage those or prevent those? Regarding insolvencies, so as you can imagine, all Tangem is heavily supervised and oversighted by the authorities, by the BaFin, Bundesbank, and so on. We have to do a lot of different security audits, certification checks, penetration tests. We are always improving on those steps and those measurements. And of course, it's very important that the wallets of the clients are segregated from the company's own wallets, for example, or it's very important that the data of the customer is protected. So in case of an insolvency, which is very unlikely, I don't know if you also heard the news yesterday from Tangem, we raised some new capital. So I think it's not so realistic we go insolvent in the next next couple of years, but jokes beside, in the case of an unlikely insolvency, there is of course a process with an administrator who will take or will administrate the process of transferring the funds, also the client's funds, the KYC data, transaction reports and stuff to a new custodian. Yeah? And regarding hacks, as I said, we are highly regulated and have to improve on our security. And of course, we do everything to prevent that a criminal gets access to the system of Tangem or a hacker does his attacks. So we do a lot of measurements on that, and also we have an insurance. We made insurance coverage with a big German reinsurance company, which was one of the first in this digital asset space to also protect clients' funds. So.
I think one major point that comes to hacks is this point of human error, that you have like maybe some social engineering that's going on, hacker trying to convince, I don't know, some staff or employees to do some actions in their favor. Moritz, how are you, or how can the industry realistically defend against these kinds of attacks? Are there like any measurements that we can take, those companies can take?
Yeah, I would say two sides. So on the employee side, we definitely, OKX is one of the few big exchanges that hasn't been hacked ever in its existence. So that's one of the things I need to point out, of course. But Bybit has been also even more of a wake-up call to the industry. So since then, I can even see it on my own daily business. We've been improving our security even further than it already was, including probably having to do like one big training every week for some of the engineers or security relevant people even more. So I think that's the one side, because that is obviously something that played a role there. And then we also try to educate the customer and try to help him self-protect. So just one example. So for example, we have, besides the usual things like 2FA and passkeys and things like this, but we also have, for example, a phishing code that the user can generate, and once that is generated, all the emails that come from us always need to include this specific phishing code. If it doesn't, then they know it's a phishing email. We also guide them, if they set up a wallet, that they need to immediately set their recovery phrase and save it, so that things like, my NFT story don't happen to them. So yeah, I think it's a constant kind of education and helping and guide and hand-holding for that matter, which we engage with, because I agree with you, it's a lot of human error, of course. Yeah.
Maybe to make a turn on hardware wallets, Nick, to address you with another question. In general, one could say like hardware wallets are seen some sort of as a gold standard when it comes to custody. But we've talked also about like different disadvantages and also fears and anxiety that maybe comes to newcomers and sort of keep your seed phrase somewhere secure. How is Trezor making those like self-custody easier and also less error prone?
Yeah, I think, first of all, one of the most important things for me that the company has done, Trezor, is the development of the SLIP 39 standard. So that's kind of the new seed phrase, the new wallet backup, as we like to call it. So we try to now refer to seed phrases as wallet backup, first of all. Why? Because we want to approach it as something that's more familiar. A seed is a very cryptographic term if you're not familiar with what a seed is. A wallet backup is something, even though it's not a digital backup, unlike what people commonly do with backups, for example, in the cloud, they're that's backing up digitally. A wallet backup is intended to be physical. It's not intended to be something that you would put on a device that can access the internet. So generally physical. Of course, Tangem has a bit of a different approach. Yeah. But with that, we've also adapted the SLIP39 standard as default on our newer devices. And SLIP39 is basically splits backup into two kinds of backup: single share backup, multi-share backup. Single share backup is your classical backup. It's 20 words in length. You can distinguish it because the third and fourth words are both the word academic. Multi-share backup allows you to split your backup into multiple parts. You set a threshold of those parts, and that threshold is the number of parts needed to recover the wallet. So for example, a 2 of 3 backup, there are 3 shares, 3 parts. Any 2 of them can recover the wallet.
I mean, just to add to that what you said, I fully agree. A seed phrase or your passkey does never have to be online. I mean, therefore, store it on a physical device is the absolutely only way how to approach really security, not in a seed phrase recovery service, multiple times split it to different providers. That's the absolutely wrong approach, in my opinion. Therefore, I agree with what you said.
Yeah. So just to give context, right? Tangem's approach is to keep the seed on various devices, like the ring. Is that a Tangem ring you're wearing? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And Trezor's approach is more to write down the recovery shares, the backup on preferably multiple different places. So if you're using a multi-share, you would have multiple cards, some number of them restore the wallet. That eliminates single point of failure. If you're using single share, you want to have multiple copies in different places where they can be kept confidential.
I mean, we've seen different experiments when it comes to keeping your recovery key, your seed phrase safe with, I don't know, like outsourcing it partly to third parties, for example, which has sparked some controversies, I think, in the space. I mean, on one side, one could say that it's, of course, like it's more convenient, but on the other side, I mean, it's basically diminishing the trust and like the core values, maybe also that crypto was fundamentally built on. Is that something that we need to sacrifice, maybe, to like reach mass adoption in the end? To just like say, okay, we need to kind of lower the barriers, the entry barriers for newcomers?
Definitely.
I think I already gave. Oh, sorry. Because you're looking at me, I already gave my answer. So happy to hand over to David. Perfect.
To me, absolutely. I mean, if things become successful, it has to be simple. Just thinking back, beginning of the 90s, setting up a modem. I mean, it took hours, days. What do you do today? You just plug it in. You're in the internet. It's simple. It's quick. It's easy, and then mass adoption follows. From right now, the entrance barrier for a new investor, no matter if you're investing $100 or $100,000, I mean, it's way too high if you go to self-custody. It's important, but it doesn't make any sense to, I mean, invest 100 hours of time to scratch on the surface. And with 100 hours, you're not capable to understand what is a BitMEX 39 standard, how you're going to store your seed phrases, what is the wallet address. I mean, that's nearly impossible. So, again, I'm coming back to the very first question. No matter where you are in your investment career, there is a usage for custody service, and from a certain point of time, you're going to switch to self-custody. And that is absolutely fair to me.
And by the way, I think we're maybe doing a little bit, we're on the extremes. Cold wallet and writing down your keys or your passphrase and sharding it 5 times versus just keeping it on the exchange or using a MetaMask. What's the panel's opinions on smart wallets? I mean, for example, the Coinbase wallet, Base wallet is something that seems to be very user-friendly and, in my opinion, really helps to onboard users, and which is also one of the reasons or one of the directions in which we want to go with the OKX wallet as well. I don't know if you have any.
Well, my opinion is generally for most individuals, less complexity is better. Businesses are different in that businesses have multiple people, they have auditors, they have systems in place to manage, say, a passphrase and 5 sharps. For individuals, that can be a lot more complicated. And also, if you are into that sort of thing, ask yourself, how are my children going to recover that? Have you explained to your children how to recover that? Because I have certainly seen the outcomes of that, and it is not fun to try to walk people through that. It is also always a bit scary to think that the person who comes after that person would probably hate my guts for saying, well, you just need to, figure this all out and put everything all together, unlike in the very complex, hidden system that they came up with in their head before they passed away, unfortunately.
Maybe one little question to just, because I also wanted to pass some questions to the audience later. What would be your piece of advice for newcomers on how to store the first €1,000 in crypto, $1,000 in crypto?
I can maybe start with that. So, of course, I got this question a lot of times, and most of them who asked me this are not very tech savvy and not very tech oriented and stuff. They just want to invest €1,000 in Bitcoin, have some exposure to crypto. So what I always say is, I'm from Germany. I like to support the German market, German players, and not give away the market or the market share to American companies or Asian companies. Sorry, but this is how it is. And I know behind the hood how Tangem is safekeeping everything very well. And I say, don't do it yourself with a ledger or a Trezor device or paper wallets or whatever. Use a custodian or use a trading platform, which is from Germany and which has some German custodian in the background.
Pay 3% fees?
Pay some fees, but sleep well.
Or use OKX, pay 0% fees, also sleep well.
Or maybe I'm German biased,
Yeah, it's fair enough. Be German by German, right?
Yeah.
Or just use a Tangem wallet without seed phrases and be happy without any pain. I mean,
This
sorry,
is
you
becoming
just
a
made some
commercial.
advertising. I need to do it.
How are you going to get the money on there?
No, I don't.
Yeah, okay.
But maybe on just
The €1,000 part.
Just to follow up on your question, on your answer, from which amount would you then say it makes sense to do cold storage?
So you asked me, right?
Yeah.
So basically it's the same answer. If you can sleep well at night, knowing that you set up your own wallet, you memorize the seed phrase, or you put the password or the words, 24 words, on a paper in your shelf, or you buried the piece of paper in your backyard or in your garden, and you can sleep well at night with, I don't know, 10, 100,000 euros in it, then you can do it. If you sleep better, having those funds at the third party with all the risk coming with that, you should do that. So it's like basically a personal decision.
I would say 5% of what you are investing should go to your security. It's kind of like paying fees on an exchange. You pay fees in the hope that you will make more money by buying these coins or whatever investments you're buying. So with that amount, it comes to around 1,000 euros or dollars to buy a Trezor wallet. And then if you want additional add-ons, you want the metal backups, you should be investing more, as it's not really worth, in my view, investing, paying $500 to secure your $500 worth of crypto. I think you need to budget it.
Okay, I think we still have 3 minutes left for one question from the audience. Yes, please, or even 2. Let's see if we have the time. But the
For crypto to really take off, right, we need institutional adoption as well as retail, right? You touched upon it. But how do corporates and treasury departments safekeep these digital assets in a practical way?
Well, on Bitcoin, we have something called multi-signature, which is specifically designed for corporate treasury, that requires basically having multiple keys on the blockchain, and then also what's called an extended public key, which everyone keeps. And as long as you have that, you should be okay. And then again, it's a matter of auditing yourself and so forth.
In theory, yes. I think in practice, most institutions that we deal with are either not able, not allowed to, or are afraid to do self-custody, which is why institutional custodians or custody services are probably most widely used in that regard.
Yes.
Yeah.
As Moritz said, also there are some requirements from those institutions to have a compliant custodian, a compliant wallet, a secure wallet, and a regulated, of course, provider. So, yeah, they don't have a lot of options then.
And then maybe one last question here from the gentleman in the first row.
Yeah, this is Marco from Apex. Just wanted to add a third solution regarding keeping safe your assets. We just spoke about cold storage or leaving it on the exchange. So what about the third one, keeping it at your local bank, your old local bank where you are familiar with for the last 30 years? For example, PostFinance in Germany and in Switzerland, or BBVA in Spain. They are all offering those solutions as well. And when you have to, in your mind that out of your 100% wealth, 5% or 10% should make out of crypto, your remaining 95 to 90% is anyway at your bank. So your shares, your bonds, your cash money. So I do not see the exact point why for 5% you should investigate keeping your seed phrase, keeping everything safe, when at the end your 95% remaining is anyway at the bank. So keep that 5% as well at your bank.
I think that's a perfect answer and solution for mass adoption, because here's the point. The common investor who's putting a lot of money, what he already made, into crypto, does not want to deal with seed phrases, with a hard wallet, with a cold wallet, or whatever. But here comes the other problem. We're here in Germany. We're decades behind everybody else when it comes to banks, when it comes to acceptancy, when it comes to regulations. I mean, we're the butt of the dog in the whole story. Yeah, I love to live in Switzerland. I mean, these guys are doing a lot of stuff, very, very good. We can learn a lot, but until the point where the Sparkasse, Volksbank, or whatever institutional here is at the point and say, hey, yeah, you can store your Bitcoins here with us, I would love to do that, because I would love to get the sweat off of me, of my family, of my kids, that they have to deal after I'm buried with my hot wallet, with my cold wallets. Yeah. So, thank you very much for that topic. I think that's wonderful input.
Yeah, and thank you guys very much for your expertise. It was a very insightful panel, I think. And yeah, we will see how the next 5 to 10 years in custody will look like, maybe with banks stepping up and leading the mass adoption wave. Yeah, thank you very much for your attention, and yeah, let's chat later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.